Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to take a look at the best potential buffs for season 25, so next season, and this is going to be also already part 2. In part 1 we took a look at 10 Pokemon that would get buffed by recent moveset updates, and today we're going to take a look at just generally at 10 Pokemon that would really appreciate basically a new move in order to become top meta in the Open Great League. But yeah, if you enjoy this videos, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it, and let's move on to the first Pokemon here. Where we're going to have a Victreebel. Victreebel is going to be a Pokemon that I think would love to have the move Weather Ball Fire. Weather Ball is an interesting move in the current in Pokemon GO generally. It's only kind of given to Pokemon that have abilities that can summon weather, or Pokemon that can have ability that can use weather. And for example, we had the community day for Roserade, which has access to the ability Chlorophyll, which doubles the speed in the weather condition of sun. And the same goes for Victreebel. And Victreebel would really benefit from the move Weather Ball Fire here. This would allow it to have like some really good coverage in the current meta and very cheap coverage. You already have Leaf Blade at 35 energy, now you have another 35 energy move. Means you're always going to be able to get to your moves super fast, and it wouldn't make this Pokemon broken, it just would give it a little bit better coverage, and would perform a bit better than the Sludge Bomb variant here, and gives like an out against Steel type Pokemon. So you can even use it as a trap for something like I guess you would still lose most likely against the Corviknight, but you can at least deal with it a bit better here and not getting hardwalled. Next up, we are going to have Hawlucha. Again, basically also as the Pokemon previously, both of them got a new Mega form. Hawlucha is also a very interesting Mega, as it's going to be a Mega Pokemon that has really good stats for, outside the GO Battle League as well. And it just needs a good new fast move that is Fighting or Flying type. And here we're going to have Karate Chop as a Fighting type fast move. And there are most likely going to be some flying type fast moves that you could use here as well instead. But Karate Chop is going to be one of the best moves that this Pokemon could get. Hawlucha, if you didn't know, got nerfed just before it got released because it's a regional Pokemon. With the addition of the Mega Evolution, as soon as it's going to be happening in Pokemon GO, you're going to not have a regional Pokemon anymore. It's going to be available for everyone because you're going to be able to rate the Mega, and the Mega is going to give you an encounter with Hawlucha. So this Pokemon is going to lose its regional status, cannot still of course regional in terms of the spawns, but it's going to be more accessible for more people, which is going to be great. And this kind of also warrants the option here for a boost, which I would love, like a little bit of a buff with Karate Chop as a fast move. This would allow it to just generate energy way faster and actually make it usable. Currently it's unusable, even though the typing itself, flying and fighting, is really good offensively, because you're going to be able to hit Pokemon from, like, basically the Pokemon that flying type Pokemon don't really want to face for super effective damage, like Rock and Steel and Ice type Pokemon with the Karate Chop plus Flying Press combination, and they have Aerial Ace for some flying type damage. Here's the thing, if you think that Flying Press plus Karate Chop is too broken, it is very strong. But as soon as you're going to have a Pokemon that's going to be able to resist fighting type moves, Hawlucha kind of gets completely locked down. Like, it's going to be literally a Pokemon that has to rely on the fighting type damage, as the other charge moves are not as great. And this is why this Pokemon is balanced. If it had something better than Aerial Ace, it would be absolutely broken, but it doesn't. And with that, it actually would be an interesting Pokemon. As you can see here, 20 wins, 23 losses. It's not broken at all. And that would be a cool new fighting type Pokemon that gives you an interesting new option here. I feel like most fighting type Pokemon currently are, it's just Primeape and the Annihilate basically. So counter or Karate Chop plus Rage Fist. And that's basically it. So this is going to be a very good Pokemon here. Hawlucha, I think, is going to be great if this Pokemon would get Karate Chop. A little bit of a new addition here is going to be Articuno, adding Peck. The Shadow version of Articuno currently is the best, with Ice Shot damage adding up and Ice Wind and Ancient Power for the coverage, but 10 wins, 32 losses, not great. Peck would actually make Articuno viable for the first time. It's not going to make it broken by any means, but would make it at least usable. And this is going to be something that I would love to see. Like, look at this, Peck, Hurricane, and Icy Wind. You can also use Ancient Power if you're worried about like Fire-type Pokemon on this Pokemon here, but you're going to be able to generate energy way faster with Peck. You still have Stab on it, and you're going to utilize the Icy Wind way better here as well, which is going to be great for it. Making it an actually interesting Pokemon for the meta, and giving it 22 wins, 21 losses, actually a very solid status in the current meta. And as Articuno never really had some play, I would love to see that. Moltres also, both versions, actually I don't know if the Galarian version for Moltres, but the normal Moltres would learn the fast move as well. as well as the Galarian Zapdos, which I would also love. In the last video, we already had pack normal Zapdos, which also would be a really cool update. So I would honestly love just all those birds getting pack. I think this would be really cool for the legendary birds. I feel like a lot of the legendary Pokemon could be a little bit better, and those are definitely some nice updates for these ones here. Next up is going to be Arcanine with Incinerate. This is going to allow this Pokemon now to just do way more damage. And this is something that I suggested earlier on. Then Fire Finger got buffed, and like Arcanine still didn't really turn out to be like a great Pokemon. But I would love to see Incinerate. Why? Because Incinerate just helps out so much more. It has more damage output, and it's going to generate energy as well here very, very nicely. And as you're going to see here, we're going to get up from 12 wins to 22 wins, and you're going to have a Pokemon that has a lot of potential to just sweep games, but also functions great as a safe stop, because you have Incinerate as Shadow plus Psychic Fangs in order to debuff the opponent's defense, or Wild Charge in order to counter the weakness of water types for the Arcanine. So this would be kind of like an upgrade to Terraflosion, which is kind of funny, and I would love to see this Pokemon getting access to Incinerate. I feel like Arcanine is like such a Pokemon that's like such an iconic one. It kind of needs to be in the game as well and have a little bit more play. So yeah, this is going to be it for this Pokemon. Moving on, another Pokemon that we already actually had in previous videos, not in the last one, but like somewhere a few seasons ago or something. Toxicroak with Cross Chop. I think this would be an ideal play for Toxicroak. Currently it has Dynamic Punch, a very good move, a very hard hitting move, way harder hitting than Cross Chop. But what Cross Chop has that Curry Chop doesn't have is the pacing. Or like the Dynamic Punch doesn't have is the pacing here, because Poison Sting Cross Chop is going to be 4 Poison Stings all the time for 1 Cross Chop, and with a Pokemon like Toxicroak, you're going to be able to pace there super fast, and it's also going to allow you to run your secondary move, the Shadow Ball, for a bit better, I don't know, like in a bit better situations, because you're going to be able to bait now, which you didn't really have before, because yeah, Dynamic Punch is cheaper than Shadow Ball, but also not by that much. And so I do think that this would be actually a really cool one, and I do think that Shadow Ball is 55 energy, which means if you go for 1 Cross Chop, you get to the next Shadow Ball 1 fast move faster, which is also really cool. Like there's even pacing-wise a really big difference between those 2 movesets, and I would love to see this here for Toxicroak. I think this Pokemon would really, really like to see the move of Cross Chop on it. This is honestly a Pokemon that has to happen. Decidueye in the Hisuian variant getting Leafage. Learns Leafage, everything is fine. The normal form learns Leafage as well. This one currently learns Psycho Cut, which doesn't make sense, and Magical Leaf. But with a Leafage, a Trailblaze, and Aura Sphere, this Pokemon all of a sudden turns to be a god. Like this Pokemon is absolutely fantastic and would be top meta. And I would love to see it, because like Decidueye, Hisuian Decidueye, it's a Pokemon we haven't seen yet at all, like hasn't had any play at all yet. And with Leafage being added onto this Pokemon, you're going to have a Trailblaze plus Leafage in order to boost your own attack, but also just Aura Sphere pacing in order to destroy Pokemon with that crazy good move. And I would love to see that this would be a thing here, but we have to see. Please just add Leafage on Hisuian Decidueye. I think it would be great for it. I would love to see a little bit of a buff generally to those Hisuian starter Pokemon. They all should get their signature moves, like their Frenzy Plant, Hydro Cannon, and Blast Burn, but also like their normal signature moves as well. There should be an event for them, maybe a community day for all of them. And it would be kind of cool. Like imagine community day just for Rowlet, but like it can evolve into the other form. Maybe make like in general season just for Hisuian, and then just have 3 community days and being the 3 starters and having like those new moves basically added towards them. I would love to see it, but yeah, let's move on to the next one. Ferrothorn. I first had Shadow Claw here, but I was like, that's a bit too broken. Shadow Claw and Ferrothorn would be amazing. Having more fast move pressure is just always kind of what you would love to see. But I kind of don't want to go that route, because while Ferrothorn hasn't really seen a lot of play, it actually is a very good Pokemon. It has great stats, has a great typing. Only 1 one double weakness in fire, a single weakness to fighting. I think that's basically it for it. And this Pokemon would love to have the move of Brutal Swing. I actually put in a Metal Claw. If you go for Bullet Seed, you have a better average rating, but you have less wins. And here, look at what a Metal Claw Ferrothorn with Brutal Swing can do. It beats the entire top 7 meta. And that is already kind of a statement. It also beats a Wigglytuff, it also beats Furret, it also beats Dedenne, it also beats Jellicent. And so, with this change, Brutal Swing on this Pokemon, which it learns, it would completely change this Pokemon's meta play currently, would give it a lot of play for the future, and I would love to see this for this Pokemon. Umbreon is a Pokemon that I also always kind of asked for. A lot of, by the way, the things I asked for before have been already added into the game, so maybe Niantic still listens here as well. I know that some of my suggestions coming through there as well. So, yeah, Umbreon is definitely a Pokemon that I would love to see getting a little bit of a buff. What an iconic Pokemon is. What a great Pokemon is based on the stats. The lacklusting thing here is for this Pokemon, of course, the moveset. Both fast as well as charge moves are not really ideal. But I only want to really add one move in the series, because adding 2 moves is great, which you've seen also most of the seasons. But I might do something like this, adding 2 moves for another episode, maybe next week or something. Like Pokemon that are 2 fast moves, or like 2 moves away, 2 fast moves, yeah, there was 2 moves away of becoming meta. This one is just 1 move actually away, because Sand Attack is all it really needs. Because with Sand Attack, and all of a sudden, it's going to be a great meta answer. With Sand Attack and Foul Play, you're going to have great pacing. You're going to be able to get there after 10. You can have last resort for a little bit of damage. You can even go for Foul Play and Dark Blitz together for a little bit more damage output there. You have a lot of play though. But with Sand Attack mainly, you're going to be able to all of a sudden deal with Pokemon like Bastion. And also with a 1-turn fast move, bulky Pokemon generally enjoy those a little bit more, because you're going to be able to pressure for a long time. So even if it just does 1 damage, for example, against a flying type Pokemon, you have to get rid of Umbreon first. It's still going to add up. And that's kind of the cool thing here. I like Umbreon. I think this would be a great buff for this Pokemon without making it broken. Like, this is the idea here. But trying to make Pokemon usable, but not broken. And Politoed might be one of those Pokemon as well. Politoed would like to see a new move. A new fast move ideally, because the charge moves are actually amazing. Having access to Weather Ball, Earthquake, Blizzard, Ice Beam, having a lot of play there. But what we need is a new fast move, because Bubble and Mudshot don't really do it. How about Mudslap? A Pokemon that already is playing with Mudshot and Earthquake? Or why not Mudslap? Mudslap is going to allow this Pokemon to generate energy, a little bit lower, I think, even, but just having a little bit more fast move pressure. And this kind of puts Pokemon into range for the coverage moves that we have here. And I went for Ice Beam in order to deal with those flying type Pokemon a little bit better, as we kind of lock ourselves a little bit more into the Mudslap damage. And Weather Ball together is just so amazing. Like, this Pokemon would be just such a nice neutral Pokemon. And again, we created a Pokemon that's not broken, but it is playable, and would be a kind of a more unique Pokemon that you don't really have otherwise. It's not like the next Grassturn. Well, yes, it's a water type with a Mudslap. It's not similar played like Garstern. Garstern is going to be able to kind of utilize the bulk, utilize the water pulse there. Here you cannot have more immediate pressure with the shadow type, shadow fall, like shadow typing, I would say, shadow bonus on top of it. But you're also going to have not the ground typing, which gives you not the resistance to electric, which can be a little bit difficult, but gives you other kind of play. But also you're going to have Ice Beam coverage, which you didn't have before. And you have Weather Ball, which is a better move than Garstern has. So it's going to be giving it a little bit of a different touch to it, and I would love to see this. And this is going to be my final one here, just because I love this Pokemon. Victini, how can I not have Incinerate yet? Incinerate is just such a good move, and Victini would really benefit. Why would Victini really benefit? It's a charge move it has. Currently it has Recreate and Psyshock. Recreate and Psyshock are both 40 energy moves. Incinerate does generate 20 energy per usage. So after 2 Incinerates, you're going to be able to go for your charge move, which means if you're going to have a scenario where you can use Incinerate to farm on a Pokemon, you're going to be able to generate so much energy with it that you can punish whatever comes back in afterwards, because nothing really wants to take a Recreate or the Psyshock here. And so I think this Pokemon is going to be better when you actually play it than on paper, but that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know down below, which Pokemon do you think needs a buff? Which Pokemon do you think could get a buff as well? I would love to see it down below. Like, even if it's Pokemon that need like 2 or 3 buffs, would love to see it down below. But this is going to be it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.